Hi, everybody. We're live. We're live with Relax with Daphne. Hi, Daphne.
Hi, Nancy Jean. Hello to your audience. I'm so excited to be here with you.
And this is Tuesday. I always do something at 1 o'clock, even if it's me just answering questions and stuff. I got a couple of little announcements to make. My guides woke me up in the middle of the night, which they've been being very good. I've been sleeping 8 hours a night. It's been wonderful. But they woke me up and they said, Jupiter and Venus are conjuncting in June. You have to do 9 candles up to it. You need to do the build up so people, because we've had so many woo Uranus going into Gemini, woo, all these horrible people trying to scare you with their astrology. This is a good one. This is a good one. And actually, if you watch all 9 candles, and have you ever seen a 9 candles, Daphne? Well, 9 candles is I do for 9 days in a row. I pre-tape a show. I bring a reader on. I'll let you know if you want to come on. And we just talk about, I haven't channeled in the message they want me to bring in about Jupiter and Venus. I was hoping to get it this morning, but my mind got caught up in which button do you really need to click on YouTube to get something to go through? So I'm a little distracted. Hi, Sandra. Anyway, hi, Catherine T. But anyway, so we're going to be doing 9 candles, and I haven't done it for almost, I think, over a year, because by the end of the 9 candles, I'm swearing at everyone, and I'll never do this again. But it's really a fun thing. People can light their own candles, not light their own candles. I'll tell everybody what the priorities are. The idea of 9 candles, it comes from an old Chinese energy practice of lighting 9 red candles. And each day you light the 1 candle and you say what kind of prosperity you want. You light 2 candles, you do that for 9 days. And then at the end of the 9 days, you let them all burn down. And if your prosperity's stuck in a rut, that sucker works.
That sounds like a great way to celebrate that Jupiter Venus energy.
That's what it's about. It's about that old bag of gas Jupiter meeting up with a real solid planet that gives us love and attention. So
I love that.
She does rotate slowly and lives under a cloud. Yeah, I've had lots of girlfriends like that. Anyway, yeah, there are. Okay, Catherine, this before we get to the 20 questions. My computer has been so slow today. I mean, so frigging slow. And I thought, and I had stuff I had to get done. And anyway, I'm hoping that will straighten itself out. When we get off the air, I'm going to go make shepherd's pie for dinner. And that's the rest of my day.
Nice. So, well, we're a couple hours behind you, so I have more work to do after this. But very nice to spend time with you. Thank you so much. Nice.
And I give her kudos, guys. She showed up an hour early. My biggest problem is people showing up late. But before we get into the 20 questions on how Daphne developed, I'm going to put this on the stage. Daphne's going to be in a thing on the 29th to the 31st. My 9 candles will start on June 1st, by the way.
Nice.
There's going to be crystal beaming at the Contact in the Desert. Could you explain that to us a little bit?
Yes, Contact in the Desert I think it is considered the largest UFO conference in the country, and it's been going on for 12 or 13 years. This is the first year I'll be involved, but every day I'm going to be leading a meditation session using this enormous crystal I have. And we're going to be working with the energy of that crystal to help people make the most of the conference. And this is the first time I'll be at the conference. I have no idea what to expect, but I know they still have tickets available. There's a lot of, if you're interested at all in the UFO community, there's, all the heavy hitters are going to be there. So I would love to meet you in person if you have a chance to join us.
Mm-hmm. I'm going to type in your email so people are asking about it. And
yes. Yeah. It's relaxwithdaphne@gmail.com. Love to hear from you. My YouTube channel is Relax with Daphne, and I have been focusing mostly on meditations to improve
Mm-hmm.
people's lives and build success and prosperity for them. And tomorrow
Mm-hmm.
night, I'm doing something on the worth of women, right? Like we've
Yeah.
had some reminders that we aren't always cherished as we should be. So we're going to meditate on healing a bit of that wound. So if you'd like to join me, it won't be
What time? Oh,
super
what time
heavy.
is it? 'Cause I keep
It's 7 p.m. Pacific time on Wednesdays.
okay, I can probably make that because I don't.
Oh, I'd love that. I'd love that.
Okay,
Yeah.
tomorrow's gonna be a full day too, kids. But anyway,
Yeah.
we're up to we're up to a few people watching us. Some from some from your site, and some from mine. So that's good.
Nice. Welcome everyone.
And I'm going to start. And for those of you who are from Daphne's site and maybe don't know what's going on, psychic profiles is a thing I came up with where I have. It's another one of those middle of the night things where my guide said, "You're going to do this, womp womp." And they came up with the 20 questions for me to ask each psychic, and I've asked everybody from people with 100,000 people on their channels to people who've had 4,000 or 5,000 people on their channels. It's just, I think, what I think is going to happen is we need to learn that not every reader's path is the same. And people come to me and they go, "How can I become you?" Well, I'm not sure you really want to do that. But also, we're all born with our own talents and our own gifts. And this is a way to explore all the different way people have gotten there. And like I've got you, I don't know your whole story, but a woman on last week who'd been around it and kind of toyed with it, but wasn't doing it. And 2 years ago, she got told, "You're doing it." Oh,
Yes.
we're having weather alerts. Sorry about that. And 2 years ago, she just sort of sprouted wings and flew. And it ends up she's good friends with someone I've known for years in this business. And they had trained together and had lost contact. So they're going to be on a show with me. It's going to be fun.
Hey.
So we all learn from this, and I hope you will too. So the first question for you, Daphne, is when did you first realize you might have psychic abilities?
That is a great question because I knew things I shouldn't know my whole life, right?
Mm-hmm.
Even as a kid. But of course, you don't have the vocabulary for it. And there were significant spiritual events that happened to me when I was 2 or 3 or 4.
Mm-hmm.
I still have very vivid memories of them. And of course, as I've grown and as I've matured spiritually, I can now look back and understand more clearly what was actually happening. I honestly thought that I had developed a spidey sense because I lived in a very chaotic home
Mm-hmm.
where the adults weren't reliable, where we moved all the time, where it was just utter chaos all the time. And I just thought that I was really good at walking into a room and knowing if I should duck or run, right? Mm-hmm. So that's what I thought it was. And then as an adult, I'd be sitting at work and someone would walk by and I would understand their intent and what they were up to. Mm-hmm. And I thought I was really good at reading body language. And because I'm a writer by trade, I thought I just had a big imagination, mm-hmm. but that isn't it at all. And when I finally had to face up to the fact that I had these gifts and that I needed to fine tune them and I needed to learn more about them, it was, for a lot of us, I think the pandemic gave us an opportunity to sit down and say, okay, what am I going to do with my life while mm-hmm. I have one? So when the pandemic came along, I decided to start taking classes and I tried a little bit of everything and everything helped. Everything expanded my gifts. Everything built my confidence in the accuracy of the information. And I also began to understand where my areas of special emphasis are, mm-hmm. Yes, I can do remote viewing. Yes, I can do mediumship. Yes, I can do channeling. Yes, I can do tarot readings. But are my where are my talents, my energy, my ideas, my personal style? Where can I
Mhm.
do the most good? So that is something that's still developing. I mentioned that I'm a writer by trade.
Mhm.
So I haven't taken on any individual clients this year because I've been working on 2 different books, and those will be wrapped up soon. Yay. And then I can get back to doing sound baths and working with individual clients on their, with flower essences and Reiki and meditations and other things like that. So I don't call myself a psychic. I call myself an energy medicine practitioner because that's how I came into this world, was through Reiki. Mostly Reiki opened the door and gave me an opportunity to look back at everything else I was doing and
Mhm.
what is the purpose of this. And one thing I think everybody who does this work will say is, I'm not special. I just have studied more, I've practiced more, and if you feel like you want to develop your talents, there's a path. There is a pathway for you.
Yeah, and I think you should take advantage. I think you're really wise to take advantage of the smorgasbord of information that's out there because I just had years and years and years to trip over it. But, if you want to try to do it in a compact period of time. And I always tell people to go where their soul is happy.
Yes. Yeah.
Because I had a woman, I taught her tarot, and her problem with tarot is she wanted each card to have a meaning. And I go, honey, it ain't gonna work. Um, so, so she's happier. She's more capable of understanding energy. She works as an energy healer because then she doesn't think that she accepts each energy for what it is.
Yes. Yeah, I love that. Well, I know that for me, there are 3 things that absolutely made the key difference. Number one was getting trained in Reiki because that just opens the doors of perception, right? And then the second thing I did that really amplified my connection was taking a remote viewing class. And I took the classic CIA scientific
Mhm.
version, which is really tedious and tiresome and time consuming. And it was one of the best disciplines I ever engaged in to develop my gift. So there are lots of different ways to do remote viewing, but I
Mhm.
can't recommend enough the classical practice
Yeah,
to give you confidence.
I have a friend who's in that course for a year,
Yeah.
and what she said, what she likes about it is it teaches her so much self protection. And
Yes.
see, so many people just pick up a card and read it and don't. That's the first thing I teach anybody is this is how you protect yourself, and you got to
Yeah.
understand you're not dealing with the most sane energies in the universe.
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah.
okay, how did people around you react when you started sharing your experiences as an adult?
Um, well, because you know how people say I came out of the broom closet, right, at a certain time.
Mhm.
I haven't really told most of the people in my life what I do.
Oh, okay.
My husband is very smart man, very open-minded, and he's all for me taking classes and doing whatever I want to do with my gift. He's a very spiritual person, so he's totally fine with it. And I don't, I, I don't really work with necessarily the people I know personally,
Mhm.
right? These are clients and people that I've met through classes and teaching classes and doing Reiki sessions. And so I would say I haven't really bumped into any resistance from the people I know.
Mhm.
If they think it's weird,
They're not
they're
going to be
keeping
there.
that to themselves.
Okay.
And you know what? It truly doesn't matter because what matters is my soul happy? Is my heart fulfilled? Am I helping people? Are
Mhm.
my guides happy with what I'm doing? And so,
Okay, you mentioned you did the remote viewing and the other kind of training. So you went through training, you didn't explore it on your own because there are some people who do it on their own. They figure it all
yeah,
out. They
yeah,
kind of come in.
I do both. I have done both. I had a really interesting experience. I I took one of those free classes in the Akashic Records. I read several books on the Akashic Records. And then I had a friend who said, "Why are we waiting? Let's just do it." And so I
Mm-hmm.
explored with her. And then there was a point where I had chosen a teacher in a year-long program. And I was in the records with my guides and said, "Okay, what do you think about this teacher? What do you think about this?" And they're like, "Okay, so you're here with us in the Akashic Records right now. And you want to get up and leave and go take a class and come back in 1 year. And then we could resume this conversation."
Mm-hmm.
And I'm like, okay, when you put it like that, they're like, "You're doing the work. Just keep doing the work.
Right.
You know, you don't need to go and get another certification." So it just depends on the material. Do I do it on my own?
Some people want that piece of paper because they think they need it.
Yeah.
Other people just say, "Look, I know how to do this. See what I do and trust it."
Yes. Trust and allow.
What's the best advice you got from the mentors you've had?
Oh, I just told you. Carol Massey is a wonderful mediumship teacher,
Mm-hmm.
and when you see her on screen, she has two paintings behind her. One says "trust" and the other one says "allow."
Mm-hmm.
Right. So trust the information you're getting. Allow your gift to flourish.
Mm-hmm. Cool. And then, how did you learn to tell the difference between psychic impressions and your imagination?
I had a long conversation with my guides about this, and they said, "Where do you think your imagination comes from?"
Mm-hmm.
So they were very clear to me that I am discerning streams of information, and when I take it and embellish it, that's my imagination.
Mm-hmm.
But through hours and hours and hours of practice over the years, you can discern the quality of the information, right? The energy behind it, the
Mm-hmm.
vibrational nature of the information that's coming in. The meditation practice that I do on Wednesday nights is a really easy meditation method.
Mm-hmm.
And you meditate in short bursts of 5 minutes at a time.
Mm-hmm.
And that has been a really wonderful way to discern the difference, because you send out an intention into the quantum field, you follow the energy, and you receive impressions and insights back.
Mm-hmm.
And it's never your imagination, because you don't know anything about this person or their healing journey. So
Mm-hmm.
what you're getting, we can always share it with the group and validate our impressions. And often it will happen that 2 or 3 people in the group will have seen the same thing, or they'll see the same color, or they'll have the same emotion presented
Mm-hmm.
to them. So, practice. And I also keep notes. I keep a serious journal of
Mm-hmm.
things that happen, and notable practices and notable
Mm-hmm.
meditations, and because I don't want to waste anyone's time. If I can't be accurate, what is the point, right?
Right.
And to helping other people with these energy experiments. And that's what I think of them. Every time I pick up my tarot deck, I'm communicating with my guides. I program my cards to only go through my guides. That way I can have a lot of confidence in what's being presented to me. And every time I pick up the cards, I have a new opportunity to grow my discernment and to refine my understanding of the images that I'm being shown. So, practice.
That's okay. Have there been moments when you doubted yourself and had to kind of pull back and think about it?
I think if you don't have a humility and a respect for the gift, you're a fool, because it's going to disappear on you.
Okay.
Our guides are constantly teaching us. And so if you are overly confident in the material, and if you aren't caring and respectful for the people you're reading for,
Mm-hmm.
and present the information in a way that is authentic and honest, and yet acknowledge your own human limitations, it's a must.
And have you ever felt like you had to prove yourself to someone?
Yes, I had this. I'm still thinking about this interaction with this client.
Mm-hmm.
I did an Akashic reading for her, and I was just in this absolute auditorium of information and guides and spiritual presences and masters and ascended beings. And the flow of the information was coming through, and she was receiving it. And she asked a question, and I said, no, that they're telling me no. And she shut down. She absolutely shut down. And that was, even though there was beautiful information coming through for her, that was encouraging, that was acknowledging her, that was confirming and validating specific information, she stopped, because that was the only question she cared about. That was the only question she wanted to hear an answer for. And she just shut me out. And I felt it happen, and I didn't acknowledge it. And that was a mistake. And, I should have stopped and cared for her. Like, what's happening? How are you feeling? What do you think of this? And I didn't do it. I just kept going, because there was this, it was just like a river of information flowing through. Yeah. So I learned a lot from that.
Okay. And have your abilities gone through weak and strong phases? And have you identified a pattern to those?
I would say that I'm too new to be too new. I mean, I've only been practicing in a dedicated manner for 6 years, so I haven't really hit a weak spot in the connection.
Okay.
However, when I was working with individual clients, it would, and I was, we might have an hour appointment once a week, but I was holding them energetically for 5, 6, 7, 8 weeks.
No, you have to learn to let that go.
And it crushed my writing. I no longer had the emotional connection to the characters in my books, none of that. So I because I had these two books on deadline, I had to step back from individual clients. So I know where my limitations are. I can't do it all. Yeah.
Yay! First lesson. I couldn't read, and I've been reading for so long. I couldn't read when I was pregnant.
Oh, wonderful protection for your baby.
Right. Kids inside. And all 3 of my children are very psychic in their own way. They use it in their own way. And they use what I call practical magic. They don't sell it on the streets, but they use it in the business they're in. And when I was locked up in the hospital in a high-risk pregnancy with my last one, my doctor knew who I was and what I did. She said, "Do you want to bring your crystals in here? And we could kind of, would that help you?" And because she'd been to my house and seen my crystals. And I said, "No, I'm not bringing them in this hospital. There ain't enough salt water to get rid of that." So, and how do you protect your energy regularly?
I have a daily energy medicine ritual. I'm very aware of how many hours I can spend each week doing this work. And it's not as many as I would like. I would love to have greater endurance, but I don't. So when I hit my limit, I stop and do other things.
You don't read. When I was in my young and silly days, and I mean I was in my 60s when I was doing this, I read an 8-hour shift at a vintage store of reading cards, and then I went to a Halloween party that was I was supposed to only be there from 7 to 11:30, and I walked out at 2 in the morning. And I had never stopped from the second I hit the door of that place. I read one person. Of course, every person only got one question, so I wasn't going deep into their lives.
Yeah.
But that's when you wake up the next day and realize, oops, it was in a haunted building. I picked up an attachment I had to get rid of. That was kind of crazy.
Yeah. I have some.
You don't want to push yourself.
No, you don't. And I am, love doing mediumship, but I am super chicken when it comes to, energies circulating where they shouldn't. And I have when I trained in plant spirit shamanic healing, I developed I put in place a lot of protection,
Mhm.
and that has really, really helped me. So,
See,
um,
my first I was always knew I was sensitive and stuff, but I ran into a real live ghost. I mean, if what can be a live ghost, is a real ghost in a hotel in London, and he had killed himself, and he was looking for another person to kind of take his place. So he uh, he was able to walk in and try to get me to throw myself down the elevator shaft.
yeah.
So this is when people say, "Oh, ghosts can't hurt you."
Yes, they
Yes,
can.
yes, they can.
They
And so
can.
when I went to the parapsychological place in Chicago where they tested me, they said, "You can do anything." And I said, "What's that stuff where ghosts kind of walk in and talk?" And they said, "Oh, that's mediumship." I said, "I don't want any part of that." And they said, "You can say all your own boundaries." And I'm telling this to anybody who's listening to this. You can
Mhm.
say, "I don't want to ever touch that." And like I have a friend who's really, really good and is really an excellent, and she does more extraterrestrial stuff than other stuff, but she said she's told them those spirits can come here, they can sit on my lap. They try to get in my body, they're going to have a fight. So,
Yeah, yeah, it is. I was in London on a business trip by myself. I was the only person on my team that was there. And I checked into the hotel and they put me in this little room. And I walked in and said, nope. Turned around, went back to the desk and said, that room's haunted. Why did you stick me in there? And he's like, oh, so sorry, ma'am. And then they put me in this beautiful suite with a view of the Thames. So
mhm.
it wasn't all bad.
No, no, no. And I used to run a major convention for designers and some really sensitive people. And I had these
Yeah.
two women, and they would always show up a day early and check the rooms out because one of them had had a similarly horrible experience in a hotel. So, yeah, I mean, guys, if you get sensitive, you got to learn how to take care of yourself.
Yeah,
Okay.
and trust yourself. Like if you don't like that hotel room, do not stay in it.
Mm-mm. Mm-mm. You walk into a place and you feel like the door, nope, I'm not going any further. Do you think psychic abilities are innate or can anyone develop them?
I think almost anyone can develop them, and I'm still very excited about it because I have studied the clairs, et cetera, et cetera. And yet, the last time I was talking to my guides about this, they said, but there's all those other clairs you haven't even touched.
Mhm.
So this is a never-ending quest, and I think one of the superpowers for people who do this work is endless curiosity about the people that we deal with, about the abilities of, ooh, it's chills, about the possibilities of these spiritual technologies. I mean,
Mhm.
they are literally tools that you can learn to use. And I hope if anything, people will go, oh, okay, so it's just another skill I can develop. Yes,
Mhm.
yes, you can.
It is. And uh, what signs might someone notice if they are gifted?
One of my favorite things is when there a lot of synchronicities happen to you,
Mhm.
right? Like you're thinking about someone and they call you.
Mhm.
You have a sudden hankering for a certain taco and your friend calls and says, let's go get those tacos,
Mhm.
right? So probably the thing that most people notice about themselves is that they're showing up at the right place at the right time, or they're showing up at the wrong place and they know it, and
Mhm.
they kick themselves for not listening to their intuition.
Right.
So I think that's one of the first signs, is that things start going your way and the universe is very friendly and conspiring in your favor, and you notice.
Mhm. And you can go with the flow.
Yes.
How has the work changed? How's your work changed your worldwide beliefs in life and death?
I was never afraid of death because I I had very strong feelings about my past lives.
Mm,
So, but that doesn't mean that I wasn't fearful of the changes that as we age, of pain, of debilitation, of decay,
mm-hmm,
right? Those things are difficult, and they are a wonderful spiritual lesson.
mm-hmm,
Um, I have studied most religions and find that I constantly go back to the oldest religion on earth, which is shamanism,
yeah.
which to me seems like a very mature spiritual technology.
Mm-hmm,
And I'm a very practical person, even for a Pisces. I'm incredibly practical, but I think if a spiritual tradition works for you, leaves you happier, leaves you healthier,
mm-hmm.
gives you better relationships with the world around you, that's worth your time and attention. But I think every religion and spiritual tradition has something to offer us. But I also think that there's a larger lesson for us as humanity. Are we going to use dogma to separate ourselves from each other?
Mm-hmm.
Are we going to use tradition to
Mm-hmm.
harm other people? I think, we look at things here, but they really want us to think about things that are
Mm-hmm.
going on up here. So the more I learn, the more humble I feel, the more excited I am about finally learning about all the nuance. Like, I think our understanding of karma is really immature as a
Yeah.
species, right? I think it's a lot more nuanced than we discuss and that we think.
Blaming
And
your karma is like blaming your ex.
yeah, I love that. Yeah, yeah.
You know,
So yeah,
what,
exactly.
what's one of the more powerful readings you've ever done? You don't have to tell us every detail, but kind of either what you learned from it or what message you were able to get to someone when they needed it.
This is a story about someone who asked my group to meditate for them.
Mm-hmm.
So it wasn't per se a reading,
That's fine.
but she came to us and said, I need healing for my thyroid.
Mm-hmm.
And we have a particular technique that we use as a group to push out that energy into the quantum field.
Mm-hmm.
And when I did that, I saw her in my inner vision. I saw her and I saw myself standing in front of her, and I saw both of us being healed. And I had this incredible visceral physical sense of healing.
Mm-hmm.
And the month before, I had blood work done at the doctor, and he said, well, your thyroid is a little wonky. Let's just keep an eye on it.
Mm-hmm.
And then we meditated for Emily and for the healing of her thyroid. I had this experience. I went back the next month to have the blood work done again. Everything was perfect and has been perfect ever since. And the lesson behind that is that when we meditate for the well-being of others, or when we try to facilitate the healing of others or the comfort of others, it rebounds upon us, right? We are partaking in that same healing energy. So that was an incredibly powerful lesson for me, because not that I needed any traumatic healing, but it was so clear that I was
Well,
sharing in the healing that it made a huge impression on me. And I share that with a lot of my Reiki students and meditation students.
for people who are looking for synchronicities, you pulled in the person who had what you needed to reflect to get back to yourself.
Yes, we found each other through the
Mm-hmm.
quantum field. Yeah, yeah. I think physicists are going to explain so much of what we're up to.
Mm-hmm.
Because right now we're conducting these experiments all the time with crystals and with
Mhm.
meditation and with candles. We're doing all this stuff, and physicists are going to understand the underpinnings, like how are we managing these energies? How are we tapping into this? It's going to be
There's,
very exciting.
there's a physicist on YouTube. His last name is Feynman. It's Fehnman, I believe. And he's he did a I've watched several of his things. He used to go about why we walk and why you need to walk and why walking is the only exercise your body needs. And he does the physics, and then he does the bodily energetics, and then he does the crystal theory about where your bones meet each other. They create energy sparks that move the energy through your body. And Danny and I did a show on him, and he talked about trees and how we figured out how trees grew and how plants grew. And he talked about how every person ought to go out and hug a tree every day, because there's actually, they can attach stuff to us now and see us pulling this energy off the tree when we're giving the tree energy. And you carry that energy for 48 hours.
Yes.
So
Yes.
there's much more of that going on than many of us know.
Well, now you're tapping into the deepest part of my um, spiritual work. I am a plant person, a
Mhm.
plant spirit person. So yeah. Uh, it's incredible, the comfort and the reassurance and the healing that we can get from plants. Trees are our elders on this planet, right? And
Mhm.
they've created an atmosphere that allows us to be here physically,
Yes.
right? So we owe them everything.
We come from stars. We are all star atoms, but the trees take the light from the stars and the water from the ground and turn it into a living cell, and then the byproduct allows us to breathe.
Yes.
Yeah.
And talking to a tree is one of the most therapeutic and healing experiences that you can have as a person.
Let me show you my tree. If you still have one of them. Oh, this is my ley line tree, Hogarth.
Oh my goodness.
He's right in front of my house, and I go out and talk to him all the time. And I knew he was a ley line tree because those lumps and bumps. If you guys want to find one, that's how you find it. You find a tree with lots. Because what happens with a ley line or an earth energy line, so much energy is going through the soil, it makes the tree grow abnormally. Um, and but and his name is Hogarth. And
Hmm.
I went out and I said, well, where's your ley line? If you're supposed to be a ley line tree, I mean, like, I've got the visual. 2 days later, I went out, and it's like someone took yellow paint and striped it from up to one side to him and the other, a straight line. It's like the
Yep.
grass died. And I thought, well, I hadn't lived here that long. And I thought, well, maybe the grass just died. So I was talking to the dog walkers. If you want to know what's happening on your grounds, ask the dog walkers. And the dog walker said, no, we were all commenting. We've never seen that before. And it stayed for a month till I was absolutely sure where that ley line was. And then
That's
it went.
fantastic.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well,
Hogarth, I have a lot of Hogarth stories. So I agree with you totally
mhm.
about plants and just being around them. I grow herbs. I have one of those fancy schmancy indoor herb gardens because herbs burn up in Texas. Well, you live in
Yeah.
Arizona, I should tell you, right?
Yeah.
Um,
You have to grow them in the shade.
well, anyway,
Yeah.
how do you deliver? That was a wonderful story, and I totally agree with it. It talks on so many levels. I tell people when I do readings and when they're watching readings, when I have open mic and people are asking questions, I said, look at the readings and see which ones relate to you, because you will all be drawn together to need to hear the same things. And I've always found as a reader, my most watched short is when I describe how when I was stuck in a bad point in my life, every single person that walked up to my table was going through a divorce or a child custody battle. Men, women, everybody. And I'd never had that before. And that's when I really got cemented in my mind. Listen to everything you're pulling in, because there's a message in there for you.
There is, and Nancy, you are pointing out something that I think is so important. the struggle with the human ego
Mm-hmm.
is a worthwhile struggle because you can't hear what the universe is saying to you if you are filtering it through your ego.
Mm-hmm.
So, if we say, well, why is this stuff happening to me? This shouldn't be happening to me. It is happening to you.
Yeah.
Why? Get curious about it and find out what the universe is trying to teach you and what gifts it's trying to offer you through this really challenging experience.
And we're
I
going
love
through
that.
such a challenging experience now as a universe.
We sure
And
are.
people are like, oh, why is this happening to me? And oh, I feel horrible and blah, blah, blah. And I'm like, there's a lesson in there for you. And, being fearful of it only makes it bigger.
Yes.
Understanding it starts to shrink it down into usable parts.
I love that. That's a
So,
great way.
okay, how do you deliver sensitive or complex messages if you run into those?
Oh, yes, absolutely. It, it, I mean, that is an art, and every client helps us get better at it, right? Like
Mm-hmm.
when I first decided I wanted to offer tarot readings and professionally, I
Mm-hmm.
recruited 5 strangers who all had a reading with me and then gave me a rating afterwards.
Mm-hmm.
Like they filled a survey out with this company. And one woman, I mean, she asked me about her boyfriend and I turned over the card and I'm like, oh God, I hate this guy. Right. But at that time I was too new. I didn't know how to
Mm-hmm.
talk about it. And I tried to phrase it in a positive light. And she's the only person who knocked me down, who ranked me down because she could sense I wasn't being authentic. Right.
Mm-hmm.
She could sense that I was sort of tiptoeing around the real news, which is what she needed to get rid of him, and she did.
She knew, but she knew.
Yes, she knew. She was looking for validation. I wasn't reflecting it back for her. So I said, okay, I'm not going to filter it, but I am going to refine my language.
Mm-hmm.
Right? Like I had someone come to me in a mediumship reading, and she said, I was so promiscuous. Right? And
Mm-hmm.
it almost came out of my mouth. And I said, do you mind if I refine that a little bit?
Mm-hmm.
And so the woman who came to me she was like, sure. And so I was able to refine my language. It's the same message. Here's how I'm going to validate that this is your person. But
Mm-hmm.
I'm not going to say she was promiscuous. I'm not going to call her a slut, right? I'm not going to do any of that. I'm going to get to the heart of it and find a way to say it to the person, so that the sitter recognizes their person without
Mm-hmm.
me insulting or shaming that person, because there's no judgment. It's just how do I deliver this in a healing way?
Mm-hmm.
And the truth is healing. The truth is absolutely healing.
That's right. Okay, and now we're into the advice and inspiration from you.
Oh, okay.
What advice would you give someone just starting to explore their gifts?
I mean, there's all kinds of ways to answer that question. Number one, take your gifts seriously, but not yourself. Right?
Mm-hmm.
You're going to make mistakes. You're going to learn the hard way. You're going to disappoint yourself. You're going to be gobsmacked when things
Mm-hmm.
happen. Right? But I would say allow yourself to make mistakes and also keep going. Keep going.
I don't look at it so much as mistakes. One time it was at a party type reading thing, and I laid the woman's cards down, and it was in an area where people couldn't hear what you were saying to other people. And I looked at her and I go, when did you die? And she said, she kind of was, I could feel her. I mean, I
She
said,
knew.
I knew it's true. I know it's true because the way it ended up, she'd had a boyfriend who tried to kill her. He tried to strangle her. Then he convinced them, hospital and the police, they were in kinky sex. And so but what happened is she had an NDE, and she knew nothing about NDEs. So during
Yeah.
this reading, I had explained to her about NDEs. Anyway, I convinced her she really needed to go to an NDE group because they would help her, and they did. And through that group, she met a woman lawyer who helped her go finally report it properly to the authorities. And they started building, they did a lie detector on it, and they said, "This really happened to you." So they built a portfolio on him. And the next time I saw her, I said, she looked like a different person. And I said, "What's happened?" And she said, "I not only went to that group, but I now speak to people about those experiences." And I said, "So you've gotten past it?" And she said, "No, in a way I have, in a way I haven't." He tried to kill another woman. He didn't try, he killed her.
Yeah.
And this time they were waiting for him, and they had her. And the only reason they convicted him without a trial, he admitted it, is because she was going to do testimony. She was going to do testify against him, and they found another woman who he had tried to kill. I mean, so what if I had said, "Oh, that can't be right. I'm gonna edit this out. You didn't die. Honest, you didn't die." That's not what happened.
Yeah, you have to deliver the message. You have to. But I just will say that there are a lot of exes who should be in jail.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Mine shouldn't be in jail. He already died. Any daily habits or exercises you recommend for people, other than getting rid of their exes?
And by get rid of, you mean don't talk to them ever again?
I wouldn't do violence against another person.
No, definitely not. Yes, I would say, I mean, for me, what has really helped is the journaling. And I sit down, and it's an opportunity to not only get my thoughts on paper, but to have a conversation with my guides. So it's not quite automatic writing. It is a question and response. I have a Q&A session with my guides every day. And that has been, I don't always have to write it down, but that's been like the anchoring practice for me.
Okay. And how can someone find a trustworthy psychic community or mentor? You've gone through several classes. Did you run into any red flags and you decided maybe I'm not in the right place?
Yes, I have. And so will you if you join communities and take classes. Just because someone is gifted, just because someone has a sleek exterior, right, doesn't mean that they are well-intentioned. It doesn't mean that they aren't struggling with their ego. And so people say trust but verify, or, people deserve your respect until they don't, right? And just because somebody is an excellent tarot reader doesn't mean they're an excellent person. And so that's the gift. I mean, this draws all kinds of people, and all of us are doing our best to have a spiritual experience. And part of it is developing your discernment. And if somebody leaves you questioning, like, did she really say that? Or why did she do that? Yeah, you have to take those things seriously and not just give people a pass.
It can be the he guys that do it too.
Yeah, you just can't give people a pass just because they can read tarot cards.
And what's the biggest lesson you've learned in your psychic journey?
That love really is the source. And there's nothing beyond that, right? So developing our connection to love, being more loving ourselves, not only to others, but to ourselves, and expressing love in every way you can and know how, is really the point of all this, right? I mean, it's fun. It's interesting. Look at this crystal, look at these tarot cards. But really what we're doing is we're trying to become the most loving beings that we can be.
Okay. And do you have, so that's kind of the end of my parts of the interview. I want to reinforce for those who weren't, maybe came in a little bit later. This is a conference that Daphne's going to be at. It's Contact in the Desert. It's the 29th through the 31st. The things are www.contactinthedesert.com. And full of fun little alien people. It's it's ET investigators, but other people too.
Mm-hmm.
And you're going to be there doing your crystal beaming.
Yes, yes. And my meditations are designed to help people make the most of the conference, develop their discernment, be fully present, make important connections, be at the right place at the right time. Yeah. Nancy Jean, do we have a minute to talk about these bowls behind me?
Yes, sure, please.
They're made out of pure crystal.
Oh, wait. Ooh.
They are. I brought you a few to introduce you to. These are Crystal Alchemy, crystal singing bowls, and they're made with 99 point whatever pure quartz crystal with little things added in, like gold, platinum, phenacite, aqua aura gold. I mean, they are. They came out of the aerospace industry, like the materials industry. And this is what I use in my sound baths. And there is nothing that can shift your energetic state like a sound bath.
That's true. I love them.
Yes, me too. And I love giving them, and I love working with the through the crystal. I mean, this is shaped, right? This is man-made shape, but it's all crystal. So the relationship I have with the bowls, the relationship that they have with the people who attend my sound baths, every sound bath is different. Every person has a different, unique experience because what the crystal sound bowls are bringing through. So I don't have one on the schedule yet. I'll get back to doing public sound baths after I get this book finished. And yeah, I'd love to come back and talk to you more in depth about crystals.
Yeah, I'd love to invite you to come over because I do crystal a different way. When you're talking about the metals that are mixed in that crystal, that's like the kinds of metal threads that go through rutilated quartz. When quartz grows and it just picks up little stray bits of metal, it's an extremely powerful kind of quartz. And they're never very big. They're always kind of tiny, but they're absolutely gorgeous.
Yes.
And to the lady who asked a personal question, no, we don't do personal questions during psychic profiles because this is Daphne's time to shine.
I'm reflecting your shininess.
Well, how it works out. And thank you for being here. Thank you for participating with this.
Thank you.
This will get reposted over also on Substack.
Oh, nice.
And I get a lot of good feedback from the people on Substack, so they'll learn all about you. I'm going to put it up probably in the next week. Normally I wait and I'm just doing them in the right order. Put yours up because that has that conference.
Thank you.
And there's no need for the lady who asked a question. There's no need to apologize because normally we take questions on this channel, but not today.
Yeah, I do see people talking about some people in the UFO community. I'm not as tied in with those folks as I will be after the conference.
But yeah, there's more about them than you want. Yeah.
Yeah, there's some mysterious things.
Dr. Gail's in the chat, and she, her first book that she wrote was How I've Learned to Fly a Spaceship.
Oh, wow.
And she's got a second book, which I'm sorry, Dr. Gail, I can't remember the title. But, and she's got a third one coming out. So I slept with an alien. I mean,
who hasn't? Come on.
Well, according to the timelines I've been given by Akashic Records, probably me. But, and I'm fascinated. You started with the Akashic Records. I'll tell you two things. There's two parts of psychic phenomena that I've gotten books on and tried to read them and try to study it and try to understand what's going on. The first one that put me totally to sleep was Reiki. I couldn't stay awake long enough. And I was talking to a friend of mine who does Reiki. She actually works out of doctor's offices. And she said, you already do it. You don't, that's why. And then the other one was the Akashic Records. And the first time I was ever read, this is kind of a funny story. Robert was reading my Akashic Records 6 years ago. And I kept trying, he said, well, have a few questions for me when we start the reading. And everybody has their own way, and that was his. And I said, okay, Robert, can I backdoor into the Akashic records? Like, is there like a screen door I've been going through because I seem to understand this stuff, but I don't. And he looked at me. You'd have thought I took a bucket of cold water and threw it on the man. And he said,
Yeah.
no, it takes, you have to learn how to meditate and do all these things. And I said, okay, I'm sorry. I don't know.
You know,
what he said at the end was he started laughing at the very end of our reading. And he goes, they just told me you've been backdooring into him because you built the doors.
wow. Yeah, I have people in my life who have told me that only certain people can get into the Akashic records and not just anyone. But I've taught dozens of people how to do it, and something has changed. I don't know when it changed, but all of us have more access to, I imagine, the sort of basic levels of the Akashic record.
I think if we open ourselves up and understand, first of all, I always knew, like, I'm in the middle because my ego has me. No, I'm in the middle, so I can go backwards, forwards, right, left, up, down, all around. And because I've always felt that I could do that, I always acknowledged, yeah, there's a bigger thing out there that I'm getting called to, and I'm just going there, and maybe I just don't have a name for it. And that's what I like about you talking about shamanism. Shamanism is the most basic form of all of the energies we work with because they did it pre-writing it down, having to have it. It was just there, and we didn't all have to sort of mark off our space. And I really love shamans. I think they're great fun.
Yeah. Yes.
And I hope you will come back and visit with me, Daphne, and maybe we'll do a show about all the plants in my life and the Hogarths and the other people.
I would absolutely love that. And thank you so much for inviting me today. It was really fun to think about all these aspects of my work.
Well, I think it's a good thing to go through it. And I appreciate everyone in the audience who showed up, and thank you so much. And tomorrow I am doing these back to back because Nath is in Portugal. And when you get someone who gets you the right time in Portugal, you don't mess with it. So Nath will be here with me tomorrow, same time, same station, same questions, not same person, because we will not be relaxing. We'll be talking with Nath. And thank you so much, Daphne.
Thank you. Bye, everyone.